Hi, everybody. Hello, everybody. Okay. I want to welcome you to the undergraduate motor learning class. And what I'm going to do is open up a slide set that I've put together for you that I'm just going to use to talk from. And it's also available to you on Canvas if you wanted to look at it. So just give me 1 second here. I have to open that up.
I have a question. Will you be posting the slides prior to class, or are you going to be posting them after class?
I'll be posting them prior to class, and then the video I will be posting after class. So the slides will actually also be embedded in the video. Okay, I'm going to take over your screens. I hope this works because last night we had some problems with it. Let me just do one more thing. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
You could see my slide, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So just so that you know, motor learning is a very important area in the field of kinesiology, the study of human movement. And it's also important in other fields as well. For example, physical therapy. Many of you who plan to go on to physical therapy will find, number one, that many schools will give you credit for having motor learning as a course, but also many students have commented to me as they go on for their graduate degrees that motor learning is required again, but that the undergraduate course really helps them to understand what the graduate class is. And I also offer a graduate class in motor learning at San Jose State for those of you that might stay at San Jose State for another couple of years. So my experience as a professional actually spans 40 years. This is my 40th year of teaching. So at the end of this year, I will have completed 40 years. It's quite amazing. I want you to all say, that's not possible. You're not even 40 yet. In all truthfulness, 40 years ago, I completed my doctorate, and I went for the first 10 years of my career to New York University. And I was on the faculty there, and I was promoted to associate professor. But I really wanted to come to California for this job at San Jose State. And that was almost 30 years ago. And I have been very happy here, and my career has been very good to me here. I really love our students and also the faculty and staff at San Jose State. I've really been able to grow here, and that's a very important thing. My degrees, my master's degree and my doctoral degree are both in the area of motor learning. So my specialty in kinesiology is in the area of motor learning. I also have a specialty in the area of measurement and research and statistics. And many of you in this class, we had this summer and this last winter a very good time in the measurement and evaluation class. And any of you could say, I totally disagree with you, Walter. That's not true. Not true. We really did have a great time. So what I'm saying to you is that I was hired at San Jose State as the motor learning specialist. I always teach research methods at the graduate level, motor learning at the graduate level. I've taught writing workshop. I've taught introduction to kinesiology and a senior seminar, and anything that I teach in kinesiology, I truly have a wonderful experience, and I love the breadth of our field. So here's the information that you need for our class. This is the undergraduate class, Kin 166. There are two pieces to the class. One piece is the lecture part of the class. That's section 1. And for that part of the class, we are going to have every Tuesday, of course, with the exception of today, an asynchronous recording. So I have some that are already prepared, and I'll be adding and also making some new ones for you. Asynchronous recordings that you are embedded in PowerPoint slides. So when you open up the PowerPoint slides that I'll be posting for you by Sunday afternoon, you will find that usually on the very first title slide, there is a YouTube video link. Sometimes it may be an MP4 link. And so just click on that link, and what you will find is that the slides, the PowerPoint slides that I've posted for you, are the same as the PowerPoint slides that I use in the video presentation. So it would be my suggestion that you might want to have them available to you on a laptop or a touchpad or whatever, so that you could take notes on those slides as I'm speaking. Or you might want to print them out if you're old-fashioned. That I'll leave to you. I want to say that today or any other day, we're on Zoom. I can't really see all of you when I have my slides up. If at any point you have a question, I don't want you to be shy. Please jump in. I am more than happy to have you either contribute something or interrupt because you have a question about something. It's not an interruption. It's something that I want to do. I want to hear your voices. The Thursday lecture is going to be a 50-minute lecture. I put 12 to 1, but it really is 12 to 12:50. And that's going to be a live Zoom lecture. And I will be there every Thursday to do the live Zoom. I'll also be recording those live Zoom lectures. And so the recording will be posted. I'm not going to promise that it's posted immediately, but I'll do my best to get those postings. That's, you know, that's extra work, but I want to make those available to you. I think my experience with the summer class is that it's to your benefit to do both the live Zoom. Number one, for a sense of belonging. I can't tell you how important it is to me to see you out there, to know that I have a class, to have something to do, and also to hear my voice. I think it's very different than an asynchronous recording. Here you could ask questions. Many students this summer told me that they used those live recordings to go back and listen again, and it was actually quite good. With our class, we actually, I believe, have 97 students in our class. In our class, we have 4 different laboratory sections with about 25 of you in each section. 3 of the sections are being taught by Junko Griffith. You can see her in this picture here. That picture was taken in the Applied Motor Behavior Lab, SPX 172, the lab that I'm responsible for. And that's Kalei. Kalei is a service dog from a student that I had in the fall, and we, of course, didn't get to finish our semester because of the COVID interruption. But fabulous picture, and Kalei is a fabulous dog. So although it looks weird that I have these 4 sections out of order, actually what I wanted to do was order them by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Those of you who were in the Monday lab section already had an introduction yesterday. Immediately following our lecture today, there'll be the Tuesday introduction. Obviously tomorrow's Wednesday and then Thursday. Notice that I'm calling these labs A, B, C, and D. Those designations will help us once we get to doing our work in lab. So I want you to just put that somewhere in your brains and think about that as you start to gather your information. So I want you to take a look at this picture here and just think about the what I have in the course description. Basically, we're going to be talking about concepts, principles, and theories of motor learning, and we're going to apply those principles to movement and physical activity. And I actually divide movement and physical activity. To me, physical activity is large body. Before our class, I went for a walk with the dog for about 30 minutes. To me, that's physical activity. Of course, physical activity requires movement. But in order to access my computer, to be able to click so that you see the advancing of the slide, or for me to manipulate the mouse, all of that is movement. It's not physical activity. When I brush my teeth, that requires movement. When I take a shower, that requires movement. Those are not physical activities necessarily, although we do have, extend our metabolic rate. So, we burn some calories, but certainly not like when we do large body activity. So very specifically, though, what I want you to notice on this slide are the words learning, remembering, and performing. Because for the next 14 or 15 weeks that we're going to be together, we're going to be discussing these different aspects of what we refer to as motor behavior. Motor behavior is a much larger piece than motor learning. Motor learning fits into motor behavior. In motor learning, we look at, of course, learning. That makes sense. It's in the idea. I'm going to define that for you in a lab. Remembering, how well does your memory work? How can I enhance your memory? And then just the performance of the motor skills. So as I'm doing my computer, I'm performing for you right now in the state of things. I am performing. That's different from memory. That's something that is in my brain or in my psyche or in my behavior, but it's not present. I could call it up and I could make it present, but generally it is something that exists versus something that I am doing right at this moment. Don't worry about those definitions right this second, because certainly you will be writing down and learning exactly what each of those means throughout our class. And it also, motor learning includes the interaction of the brain, muscles, and also the environment. So a lot of times when people think about our movement or our physical activity, they forget about how the environment interacts with us, or how we have to interact with the environment when we're doing our movement or physical activity. So if there's a person in front of me, I'm not going to keep walking straight, I'm going to move over. That means that the environment has affected my physical activity. That other person is an object in the environment, and I had to move over to get around him or her or they. So you can see that motor learning involves a lot of different things. Here are our course goals. And Notice here, I've given you some key words: explain, use, draw, support, organize, create. We're going to be doing all of these things as they fit with motor learning. In other words, we're going to look at the body of knowledge. You're going to learn a lot about the concepts, theories, and principles in motor learning. And then one thing that is not just because of COVID, but I have actually taught the undergraduate motor learning class as a hybrid class for about 4 to 5 years now. So we have incorporated many different technologies into motor learning actually for the last 20 to 25 years, even longer, 30. As soon as I came to San Jose State, I started to incorporate computers into the motor behavior lab. I was the only lab in our department, and sometimes in the whole college, that had computers in it. And students learned literally how to access things on a computer. This was even before we had access to the internet. And I remember when my lab was finally on high-speed internet and I was able to intersect some of the library information in with what I was doing in the lab and technology. And now we have to do Zoom, so you can see that technology is going to be a very important part of our class. I'm going to go back. In motor learning, we're going to look at interdisciplinary connections, because motor learning these days cannot be done without exercise physiology and without biomechanics. Especially biomechanics has very important intersections in the ways that we describe performance. Many of you, I'm sure, have completed the biomechanics class. Others of you haven't. But when you talk about the measurement of performance, you're really talking about biomechanics. And from that perspective, we will talk about the intersection of biomechanics and motor learning. I'm not going to teach you biomechanics, and I'll always explain the terms, but I'll also draw those interdisciplinary connections. I want to also support any application. So oftentimes students take a motor learning class and they find at the end of the class, none of it really makes sense. They don't even know what they learned over the 14 weeks. One of the things that I try to do, and I think I'm somewhat successful at, is making motor learning make sense in the real world. I want you to think about everything I'm teaching you in the context of teaching physical education, in the context of exercise and fitness, in the context of rehabilitation science, such as physical therapy, occupational therapy, recreation therapy, in the context of sport management. How could motor learning principles help you to organize settings so that people can perform? I'm not even talking about athletes performing in sport management settings, but I know that in sport management, Dr. Armstrong talks about egress from a stadium. What that means is, how do people exit a stadium? Well, what about exiting a stadium in an emergency? You want people to be prepared. And so these are the things that sport managers are now working on, especially in the COVID epidemic. How are they going to do these kinds of things? Here you see my course learning outcomes. I want you to look at writing in a narrowly focused area. I want you to have an oral presentation, to make application, to describe concepts and principles. We're going to talk about bias in our class, social justice. Can you imagine doing that in a motor learning class? And as I've already said, the integration of technology into our class. And these ideas that I've just presented to you fit very well with the department program learning outcomes. Again, I want you to notice critical understanding, research, communication, movement competence, sustainability. How can we sustain things? And looking at diversity and social justice in every context that we work in and live in. I think those are such important principles in today's times. So we'll include those as we move forward. On these next several slides, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, what I want you to see is that I've mapped the learning goals to my course learning outcomes to the program learning outcomes. So you can see how each of these relates, that they don't stand alone, but rather they become more and more specific in terms of what we're going to be doing in our motor learning class. So I want to get to the ideas or the assignments actually that we're going to be doing for our class. So we have a hybrid class in the sense that one day a week is going to be asynchronous, that's your Tuesdays. One day is going to be synchronous, that's your Thursdays. Thursday lectures will be recorded as well. Note that you need to have the Tuesday lecture completed before you come to the Thursday Zoom. I'm sorry that I forgot to change this right here on the slide. Don't come to the science building. I am not permitted to enter the university. And so all of our Thursday lectures will be Zoom lectures. You're also not going to be in the Applied Motor Behavior Lab. I'm sorry about that because it really is my favorite room in all of the new SPX. Our class is technology intensive, and you probably, or I'm sorry, you already have everything that you need to move forward with our class. Applications, we're going to be using Google Docs and Google Drives, and so you'll need all of that. Obviously, we're not going to be in the Applied Motor Behavior Lab, so you can't use the computers that are in there. Make sure that you are using your SJSU account. You'll only be permitted to get into the Zoom if you have your Canvas set to that account. Look for the links, probably Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. I'll be setting those up for the week in the modules, on the modules page. I hope to be organized enough. I'm going to try to use a new format with calling them modules, but I think it's going to be organized enough for you to see it. You're going to see it grow over the process of our semester. Also, just a word of advice, make sure that you keep an eye on your MySJSU account. I'm sorry, your MySJSU accounts. That's a different thing. You know, if you have bills or any outstanding things, make sure to check that because they're always important things and I don't want you to be dropped from class or anything like that. We have a book that we're using this semester. It's the brand new edition. It's the McGill and Anderson book. You can see that it's a 2021 edition. I'm sorry that I didn't fix this well. It's called Motor Learning and Control Concepts and Applications, and you should be able to get that through the bookstore. I know both of these authors personally. I know Dick McGill from the time I was a doctoral student, and I have been friends with him throughout my professional career. I'll probably talk about that at some other time. And David Anderson actually is younger than me. I knew David when he was a graduate student, and then eventually he actually came to teach at San Francisco State University, but I don't think he's there anymore. He happens to be an excellent motor learning scholar of his time. Notice under module 1 on the modules page where you find the course syllabus, you'll also find the template for the motor learning portfolio. And so what that is basically an empty book that by the end of your lab, you're going to finish. You'll learn more about that in your lab section. It looks something like this. This is last semester's picture. I didn't take a new picture of the new cover. It has one little difference on the cover. And it has been thoroughly revised for you so that it is accessible for the online format. I have some chats here, so let me just check in on this for a second. Is it necessary to buy the book? Yes, in this semester I say yes, because I will be pulling out activities from the book for our asynchronous portions and then going into our synchronous portions. I have not assigned those yet. Forgive me. I did not take my books for the semester when I left the house. I took almost everything else I needed, but I did not grab those books. So I can't go in and actually get the page numbers and the chapters. So as soon as I get home, and that may be another week out, as soon as I get home, I promise you I'll do an updated version and you'll have the access. The first part of our class is not dependent on the book, so I'm not that worried about it. The modules page, if it's not published, if I made a mistake and didn't publish it yet, I will publish it as soon as I hang up. Type of copy does not matter. You can get any type of copy you want. The lecture is being recorded and therefore you can access the recording if you missed part. Very good. All right, let's continue because I do want to get to the requirements. Here are your requirements. And there are 2 exams. I actually reduced the number of exams for our online class from 3 to 2. Also, your exams are each worth 15 points, and they will only be essay exams. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to read through the course syllabus yet. If you have, you'll see that I am not using a lockdown browser. I am not using Respondus. You are on the honor system to respond to the essays in original format. You will sign your name. Theoretically, it'll be a typing of your name that says you're an honest person. And I expect that you will be honest. And if you're not honest, I am telling you right now that I will know it. 40 years of experience in higher education makes me very knowledgeable of these things. I trust you. You'll also have a take-home essay. I'll be putting up an assignment sheet for the take-home essay very soon. It will give you a lot of information. It's worth 10 points towards the 100 points of your final grade. We'll work a lot on that essay in your laboratories, your breakout rooms. There's actually 2 to 3 weeks where we're going to be working on the at-home essay during our lab experience. So I'm hoping that by the time you submit your essays, you're going to get 8, 9, 10 points out of that assignment. Your laboratory grade, I apologize. I thought I made the change. Honestly, I really did make the change, but for some reason it's not reflected here. I did get the change of the exam. Your laboratory grade is going to be worth 45 points. Let me explain to you how those 45 points are going to be done, and I will make the change in this slide and repost it. Every week, immediately following your laboratory until the next moment that you return to the laboratory the week following, there will be a reflection assignment. It will be short, 1 paragraph. It could be a long paragraph or a short paragraph. And each one of those reflections will be worth 1 point, for a total of 15 points toward your laboratory grade. The laboratory portfolio will have that response to a certain extent embedded in the questions that we ask in the portfolio. And then, of course, there are other questions and other activities that you have to record in your portfolio. The portfolio is due, I don't remember the exact date that I made, but I believe it's December 8th, as the completed portfolio for a total of 20 points. That's 35 points. And for 5 points, you have, it may be 5 and it may be 10. I have to check because I don't have any printouts here. Is your team project. I think I made it 10 points because it was a little bit more than what I've asked you to do in the past as teams. And so as a team, you're going to earn up to 10 points for the team project. So all of that goes into the laboratory part of your grade. For 75% of you out there, about 75 students or so, Junko Griffith will be responsible for that part of your grade. She is extremely well trained, and you'll hear me talk about that in your laboratories. Also, embedded in the asynchronous lectures and also sometimes in my Zoom lectures will be 10 pop quizzes. These will be discussions. You either respond to them or you don't. If you respond, you get a point. If you don't, you don't. There is a time limit on those. And so 10 points towards your grade will be for your pop quizzes. Does that make sense in terms of the grading schema? Just say yes or no. Give me a sense.
Yes, it makes sense, but I have a question about the pop quizzes.
Go ahead, Nathaniel.
I'm just curious as to, you say that we'll be speaking them in class, so does that mean we're all going to say it at the same time, or are we going to be entering it into
No, it will always be a discussion link, and you'll just respond in writing. And the difference between the pop quizzes is that they will be visible to all students. It's like a social media kind of thing. The weekly lab assignments will be submitted through the assignments tab, and those will only be visible by Junko, Griffith, and me.
Okay, thank you.
One last comment that I want to make, and I hope that you could work with me on this. It will make my life 20,000 times easier. Everything will be posted on section 1 of class. That's our lecture class. So when I put up a lab video, it's going to be posted on the lecture part of the class, not in each section of the labs. But when you access your lab Zoom, you have to access that through your lab section. The reason for that is that we don't want to have to break out 97 of you. It will be much easier to break out 25 of you. I hope that you understand what I'm trying to say there. Is that clear?
Yes.
So all recordings, all PowerPoint slides will be clearly labeled as lecture lab with the date, week of, or day of, and whatever it is, it'll be clearly labeled as a file or a link or whatever. And the only time that you need to use the lab section is if Junko or I say, go to the lab section for this, because I just want to talk to all of you, or for linking out to your Zoom lecture.
I have a question regarding the points that you have posted.
Yes, it's not correct.
Okay, that I was gonna say that.
It's not correct. I apologize for that. I wanted to get this up for you quickly so that I would have something to talk to you from. I will promise to make the changes to the PowerPoint presentation. Not the video, but the PowerPoint. Take a look at this grade calculator. Some of you have used my grade calculator before. All you have to do is to continue to add up your points as you're earning them. It will all be accumulating on our Canvas page, the lecture page. And notice that your grade assigned will be completely dependent upon how many points you actually have assigned. I'm sorry, I just need to make one change. So the Zoom link and the discussion, the assignment, the weekly assignment is going to come through your personal or your individual lab sections. So if you're in lab section 2, 3, 4, or 5, the link to the assignment and the link to the Zoom lecture, to get into the Zoom lecture, will be on your lab section. Those are the only things. I promise you, you'll get used to this. Academic integrity, I will talk about at another time, but I want you to know that I am very serious about this. I have had incidents with academic integrity. The university policy is that we must report it. Folks, there is more cheating, more stealing going on nationally since we have entered the internet, Zoom, COVID experience. You must be serious about this, folks. The ramifications are going to be serious. It is really easy for us to pick it up when a paper is bought offline, or if you try to use a paper that's been used before. I will be using Turnitin.com. And certainly I know what an undergraduate student writing looks like. So it's recognizable. I don't think that any of you, not one of you, I would believe would steal a car off the street. Why is it not the same thing to steal a person's ideas or thoughts? Think about that. If there are any students out there that need assistance or accommodations, please contact me. I'm available to help, and I will make any accommodations that I need to. My office hours are posted on the course syllabus. I will be available during the time of 3 to 4 on Monday afternoons. And also I will be available from 11 to 12 before our Zoom lecture. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to run those office hours yet, but in the past, I've always run my office hours that you contact me, we make a time, we'll set up a Zoom session. So know that I'm available for you, and it doesn't have to be during those times. Any hours arranged, even on the weekends, I make time for my students. Please consider the protocol. In lab, we're going to be putting up pictures of ourselves. I love when your cameras are on at some times, and I'm going to say camera on, please. But I certainly know what Aaron looks like, not because I've ever seen him, but because I know his picture and I know his voice. That's the end of my PowerPoint. I'll go in and I'll make those changes. Are there any questions that anybody would like to ask orally? I want to look through the chat as you're talking.
Yes, Dr. Rugalter, I have a question.
Go ahead, Aaron.
I know you're going through a lot right now with your house, but is the course syllabus published on Canvas?
It's on the modules page under
Okay.
module 1. It's possible that I didn't publish that page. I have to go ahead and publish it.
Okay, thank you.
I thought it was published. May I ask, were you able to get to the start here?
No, I clicked that and it says page not found.
Okay, then it means that's not published either. I have to do that.
Yeah, I had the same question. I'm not able to see the syllabus either.
Okay, I want you to go at least out to them. I worked so hard on a couple of things to get those done. I wanted you to have them done. The first thing was listening to the land recognition that I posted for you. I would like all of you to listen to it. It takes a few minutes. I recorded it. It's specifically for our class. And right now, if you can see me, I feel very strongly that we need to honor where we are and ourselves and each other. And may I say again that seeing you out there means so much to me. When I hang up this call, I have so much energy just seeing you and knowing you're there. So thank you for being there, and I hope you feel the same. I will publish everything as soon as I hang up. The Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I don't know about the Thursday section yet. I have to check it. Of the lab should all be published. All you have to do is find the Zoom link. You've been invited. Go out to your link at 1 o'clock today. I'll be there to introduce Junko to you, and the same tomorrow. And for the Thursday lab folks, you're stuck with me.
Dr.
Any other-
Coulter?
Yes, who's that?
It's Steph.
Thanks, Steph.
I'm in the Tuesday lab today, and I don't see any links or anything for the Zoom.
I will make sure that we get that going.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, what I'll do is I'll post the link on the announcements page as soon as I hang up. Let me write these things down so I don't lose track of them.
Thank you.
So the first thing is the Zoom link. The second thing was open pages, publish. And the third thing was fix slides and post. Okay, anything else? How do you all feel? Can you give me 2 things before we hang up? How are you feeling? 2 things. Eukaryo, tell us. Is that how I say it? Is it eukaryo?
Eukaryo. It's close enough, though. I like it.
Okay, eukaryo. Who else wants to say something?
Yes. Edwin, the book cost me 107 at the bookstore. I think it comes plasticed up with loose spine.
For sure, bro.
And Eukarya, did that come with the online piece as well?
Yes, comes with the
Okay.
access code in the back.
Very good, because I just don't have access to that right now. So I do want you to get that access because I'm going to give you some exercises from in there.
Is the bookstore open these days?
It has not been open because of the closure of campus with smoke, but I believe it's going to be physically open, and I also believe that they must be able to make other arrangements to send you books if necessary. I've also seen the book elsewhere. I'm not going to say anything else about that.
Thank you.
One more person, please tell us how you're feeling or what's going on. And then we're hanging up.
Just overwhelmed with lots of.
Katiyun, is that how I say it?
Needs some time to.
To take it all in. Let me say that truthfully, even if we were in the classroom, the overwhelm piece is always there on the first day. I promise you, each of these things will be reviewed again and again so that you're not left out in the cold. Anybody else?
Yes, Professor. I have a quick question.
Who is that?
It's Ashkan.
Ashron, thank you. Keep going.
So my question is, when would I need the book by? Because I'm on Amazon right now, and it does not come with Prime shipping. So it says it's going to get here by like September 10th.
You're fine. You're
I'd be okay
absolutely
with that.
fine. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Our first unit is on something that's not included in the book, so you will be just fine.
Professor?
Yeah, just make sure that if you get the book through Amazon, this is what I'm not sure of. Does it come with the key code for the
So
online piece?
that's the funny thing about it, actually. Like midway through Eukarya's question or comment, I realized I was going to rent it and it doesn't come with it. But if you buy it new, I believe it comes with it. So that's pretty cool.
Okay. Everybody, stay well, stay safe. I really care about students at San Jose State. I know I haven't had a lot of you before, so it sounds weird for me to say I care about you. I care about you.
Thank
You're
you.
our kin students.
Thank you.
I will see you Thursday for our live Zoom again.
Professor,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt, but I actually had one question. I'm still a little confused on how the pop quizzes would work with asynchronous lectures.
It's embedded in the slide, and it's at the
Oh,
end, it says, you see this slide, for 1 point, go to the discussion tab and answer this question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And truthfully, Chelsea, that was to make sure that students are looking at the slides.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Have a great day, everybody. I'll see everybody today and tomorrow and Thursday again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you then.
Thank you.